My favorite brother depleted the family business, yet my parents still insisted I surrender half of mine. For the last 6 years, I've poured my soul into building custom furniture. I'm 29 and my workshop in Redbank, New Jersey, isn't just a business, it's my passion. We're talking high-end pieces, tables that cost more than some cars, chairs that take 3 months of meticulous work. Every joint, every finish, perfect. It demands patience, precision, a level of actual skill my family simply couldn't fathom. Just last month, I delivered a conference table to a hedge fund in Greenwich. The guy cut a $28,000 check without batting an eye. His wife. She cried when she saw it. Real tears. That's the kind of work I do. But to my family? Oh, I was just playing arts and crafts. My parents hated it. Every single Thanksgiving for 5 years my dad would ask, "When are you going to get a real job?" Every birthday my mom would send me listings for property management firms. They ran this massive commercial real estate firm in Bergen County, 30 years in the family. My older brother, Blaine, he was the golden boy, the VP of acquisitions. My younger sister, Delaney, handled investor relations. Blaine was literally golden. Mom had a framed photo of him shaking hands with the governor right there in the living room. My photo? Hallway bathroom. I was the peasant, the one who worked with his hands. 5 days before Christmas, I drove up to the family estate in Saddle River. You know the type, big colonial circular driveway. This year I actually wanted to go early. Help set up. Maybe, just maybe, I could finally prove I belonged at the table instead of just being tolerated at it. Stupid, right? Still clinging to the idea that family mattered even after everything. Our housekeeper, who'd been with us for 18 years, opened the door. Honestly, she was the only one in that entire house who ever seemed genuinely happy to see me. "Mr. Callahan, good to see you," she said. "They're upstairs." She hesitated, glanced behind her, then added quietly, "Yeah." Inside, my mom and Delaney were hunched over spreadsheets on the coffee table. It looked less like holiday prep and more like they were coordinating a hostile takeover. "Hey, I'm here," I announced. Mom barely even looked up. "Leave your coat in the hall. And don't touch the decorations. The staging company is coming back tomorrow." Delaney just gave me a dismissive glance. "Oh good. You showed up early. Remember when he used to help set up? Moved the furniture wrong every single time. Scratched Mom's antique credenza. Just like that. Condescending. Like I was a child who couldn't be trusted with anything." I headed upstairs, needing a minute, and that's when things got really weird. My old room, the one I'd had since I was 7, had someone else's luggage outside the door. Turns out it was for one of Mom's investor friends. I walked in. Everything personal I'd left there, photos, books, tools, it was all gone. Shoved into plastic storage bins, stacked in the corner like garbage, just waiting for pickup. "Mom?" I called out. No answer. I started walking towards Dad's office, about to ask about my room. The door was half open. And then, I heard my name. I froze. "Slides after dessert?" Dad's voice, calm, businesslike. "Keep it short. No arguing." I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. Then Blaine's voice chimed in. "Put the salary chart on the screen right after Dad finishes the intro. He can't say no in front of everyone. Just fragments, but honestly, fragments were more than enough." Then my mom, "Once he's in, we fold his shop into ours. Control the client list." My heart was pounding. I backed away, walked to the printer room at the end of the hall. And there it was. A stack of handouts in the tray, still warm. Callahan Career Trajectory. I picked one up, my hands shaking. Charts comparing furniture maker salaries to corporate positions. My name in bullet points. The header? Intervention Strategy. They even had a slide called Objection Handling. They'd assigned tasks. Mom was supposed to comfort me after I came to my senses. Delaney would handle social media optics, like I was a PR problem to manage. And the number? $45,000. That's what they thought I made. I cleared $140,000 last year, but they'd never bothered to ask. Never checked. Just assumed. I snapped a photo. Then another. Evidence. I walked straight out of that house. Didn't say a single word. Got in my truck and just drove. Not crying. Not panicking. Planning. The security gate closed behind me in the rearview mirror. 18 years. 18 years of trying to prove myself to people who had already decided I wasn't worth their time. Done. I was absolutely done. By the time I pulled into a rest stop on the Garden State Parkway, I'd already made 3 decisions. First, I was absolutely going to that dinner. Second, I was going to let them spring their trap. And third, I was going to detonate it right in their faces, in front of everyone. They wanted a show? Oh, I was going to give them a show. I called Connor, my best friend since college. He's the one who'd helped me set up my first workshop. He picked up immediately. Yo, what's up? He said. Connor, I just found my entire family's plan to humiliate me at Christmas dinner. PowerPoint presentation, printed handouts, the whole 9 yards. There was a long silence on the other end. Are you joking? He finally asked. I have photos, I told him. Where are you? He pressed. Parkway rest stop. Heading back to Redbank. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna show up, I said, the words firm. Let them think they've got me cornered. Then I'm gonna blow the whole thing up in front of everyone. But I needed ammunition. Real numbers. Undeniable proof that everything they thought about me was dead wrong. Connor was quiet for a second. Come to my place, he said. We'll build your counterattack. Connor lived in Asbury Park, in this incredible converted warehouse loft he'd renovated himself. When I got there, he already had coffee brewing and his laptop open. Talk, he said, handing me a mug. After I laid it all out, he just shook his head. Those complete jerks, he muttered. All right, you're going to that dinner, but you're going prepared. That's the plan. Good, I replied. What do you need? Financial statements, tax returns, my client list, anything that proves I'm not the failure they think I am. They want to ambush me with fake numbers? I'll bury them with real ones. Connor nodded slowly. We can put together a packet tonight. Print everything. You walk in there with receipts. Literally. We spent the next 3 hours assembling everything. Tax returns clearly showing my $140,000 income. Bank statements with consistent deposits. Client testimonials I'd saved over the years. Photos of completed pieces in clients' homes. A whole portfolio that proved I wasn't just playing at business, I was running one. Successfully. Without their help, their money, or their approval. Then Connor pulled up their company's public filings. Dude, he whistled, their accounts receivable is a disaster. They've been bleeding clients for 2 years. Your brother didn't just steal from them. He torpedoed the whole operation while he was doing it. Connor even helped me rehearse what to say when they started their presentation, how to time the reveal for maximum impact, where to stand so everyone could see me when I pulled out my packet. This is solid, Connor said, reviewing the final stack. They show their fake numbers. You show your real ones. In front of everyone. Checkmate. Perfect, I said. After we finished, I made the call I'd been putting off. The one that could change everything. Hello, Grandma? It's Callahan. Her voice was warm but cautious. Callahan, this is a surprise. Everything all right? Not exactly. I need to tell you something and I need you to hear me out. I told her everything. The presentation, the fake salary numbers, the twisted plan to force me into the company. When I finished, there was a long, chilling silence. Your father called me yesterday asking for a substantial loan, she finally said. When I pressed him on why, he got evasive. Now I understand. Her voice turned sharp like a razor. Blaine's been stealing from them, hasn't he? That's what this is really about. My stomach dropped. How did you know? I've suspected for months. The numbers never added up when Vincent discussed the business. She paused. So, their solution is to ambush you and steal your business to cover their losses. Appalling. I'm going to the dinner, Grandma, I told her. I'm going to let them try their little intervention, and then I'm going to expose everything in front of the whole family. Another pause. Then, good. And I'll be there to back you up. You will? I asked, disbelieving. Absolutely. It's time someone held them accountable. Her voice was pure iron. Don't answer any calls from them before dinner. Let them think everything's normal. And Callahan, don't hold back. I won't, I promised. We hung up. I had my ammunition. I had my ally. Now I just needed to wait. Christmas Eve. I spent the day in my workshop trying to keep a lid on my emotions, focused on finishing a commission. My phone buzzed relentlessly, Mom calling, Dad calling. I ignored every single one. Let them wonder. Let them sweat. That evening, I drove back up to Saddle River, pulled into that familiar circular driveway, and walked in like nothing was wrong. The house was packed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, friends. The annual Callahan Christmas dinner was in full swing, a glittering facade of family harmony. Mom spotted me first, and a wave of pure relief washed over her face. Callahan, you came. We were worried when you didn't answer your phone. Got busy with work, you know how it is, I said, the lie tasting bitter. She didn't know. She'd never cared to know. Dinner was the usual performance. Expensive food, fake laughter, Dad holding court, Blaine bragging about his latest deal, Delaney name-dropping investors. And me? I sat quietly just waiting. After dessert, Dad stood up and clinked his glass. "If I could have everyone's attention," he announced. "Before we move to the living room, I'd like to share something special. A presentation about our family's future." Here we go. Everyone migrated to the living room. A projector was already set up. I took a seat near the back. My grandmother caught my eye from across the room and gave me a tiny, knowing nod. Dad launched into his speech about the company's legacy, the importance of family unity, how everyone needed to contribute. Then Blaine stepped forward, clicker in hand. "As many of you know," he began, "Callahan has been pursuing alternative career paths." He smiled at me, a condescending, patronizing smirk. "We've put together some information to help him see the bigger picture." The first slide appeared, Callahan career trajectory. Charts showing furniture maker salaries, national averages, my name in bullet points. And there it was, the number $45,000 in bold red letters. "As you can see," Blaine continued, "the ceiling for this kind of work is extremely limited. Meanwhile, our family firm offers real growth potential, benefits, stability." "That's an interesting number," I said, standing up, my voice calm, cutting through the smugness. "Where'd you get it?" Blaine blinked. "Industry averages, standard research." "Really?" I countered, pulling the packet from my jacket. "Because according to my tax returns, I made $140,000 last year." "Wanna see?" The room went absolutely silent. You could hear the ice settling in people's glasses. "I've got bank statements too," I pressed on. "Client testimonials. Photos of pieces I've built that sold for more than some people's cars." I started walking toward the front, making sure everyone could see me. "But please continue. Tell everyone more about my failing hobby." Dad stepped forward, a desperate look on his face. "Callahan, this isn't the time, isn't it?" I interrupted. "You set up a whole presentation, printed handouts, even made a slide called Objection Handling." I held up my phone. "I have photos of everything from the printer tray. Want me to share them with the room?" Mom's face went ghost white. Delaney's jaw dropped. "Here's what's actually happening," I continued, turning to face the assembled family. Every single aunt, uncle, cousin, family friend was staring at me with wide, horrified eyes. "The company is broke. They're hemorrhaging money. And instead of admitting it, they plan to humiliate me into joining so they could use my business to bail themselves out." Gasps erupted from the aunts. Murmurs from the cousins. One of my uncles muttered, "Jesus Christ," under his breath. "That's not true." Delaney shrieked. "Really?" I looked at her, my gaze steady. "So, the company's doing fine? No cash flow problems? No investor concerns? Dad didn't call Grandma yesterday begging for a loan?" Silence. Devastating silence. Then my grandmother stood up. Every head in the room turned to her. "It's worse than that," she said, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "I've suspected for months that something was deeply wrong with the company finances. Vincent called me yesterday asking for a substantial loan. When I pressed him, he admitted there have been irregularities." She looked directly at Blaine, her eyes burning. 3 years of irregularities. Blaine's face went completely pale. The hand holding the clicker started to shake. "Your golden child has been embezzling," she continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the room. "And rather than deal with it honestly, they decided to drag Callahan into their mess. Use his clean reputation, steal his client list, fold his legitimate business into their failing one. In front of all of you. On Christmas Eve." The room erupted. Everyone was talking at once, accusations flying. One of my aunts stood up, gathering her things in disgust. My cousin pulled out his phone, probably texting everyone who wasn't there. My uncle, the one who'd always sided with my parents, stood up. "Vincent, tell me right now, is this true about Blaine?" Dad couldn't even look at him. My uncle grabbed his coat. 30 years I defended you to my wife. 30 years. He walked out. His wife followed. Then 2 more cousins. Dad tried desperately to regain control. "This is family business. We shouldn't be discussing." "You made it family business when you planned to humiliate your son in front of everyone," my grandmother snapped, her voice like steel. "You should be ashamed. All of you. Blaine, Delaney, and especially you, Vincent. This boy built something real while you were busy coddling a thief." I looked at them. My parents. My brother. My sister. The people who had spent years making me feel worthless. The people who thought I'd just roll over and accept their scraps. I built something real, I said, my voice quiet but everyone heard it. Without your help. Without your approval. Without your respect. And you thought you could just take it because you needed a bailout. Mom started crying. Dad's face was beet red with humiliation. Blaine looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I headed for the door. Callahan, wait. Mom reached for my arm. I pulled away. Don't. We're done here. I walked out into the cold December night, the sound of chaos still spilling from the house behind me. Got in my truck. Drove. 2 hours later, I pulled into a cabin driveway in the Poconos. My phone buzzed relentlessly. Mom, Dad, Delaney, Blaine. I ignored every single call. Let them panic. Let them try to do damage control. The truth was out now, spreading through the family like wildfire. Then a text from my grandmother. Proud of you. They're still reeling. Half the guests left within 20 minutes. Your father tried to salvage the evening, but no one was having it. Call me tomorrow. Another text from our housekeeper. Mr. Callahan, I packed your belongings safely. They're in the garage when you're ready. Well done tonight. They needed to hear that. That one meant a lot. Christmas morning in the Poconos felt like waking up in a completely different life. My phone looked possessed. I scrolled through the messages over coffee, each one more satisfying than the last. Dad, your mother is devastated. This stunt reflects poorly on your judgment. We need to discuss this as a family. Delaney, you've always been selfish, but this is next level. You humiliated us in front of everyone. Pathetic. Blaine, you really think you're something special now? All you did was embarrass the family. This isn't over, little brother. Not even close. That last one actually made me laugh. Still posturing. Still thinking he had leverage. I deleted it without responding. Then another text from Grandma. Half the family called me last night. Most are disgusted with your parents. Several cousins want to commission furniture from you. Your aunt says she always knew Vincent was a fraud. Well done. I stayed in the Poconos through New Year's, using the quiet time to plan. I mapped out a new growth strategy, sketched designs for new pieces, even drafted proposals for a gallery show in New York. For the first time in years, I could actually think about the future without the suffocating weight of my family's disapproval dragging me down. You're going to need help, Connor said one afternoon as we worked at the cabin table. You can't handle the demand alone. Not after what happened at Christmas. Word's going to spread. People are going to want pieces from the guy who told off his whole family. I know, I replied. Been thinking about hiring someone. Maybe two if the gallery thing works out. You scared? He asked. Terrified, I admitted. But also, ready. For the first time in my life I feel ready. Back in Redbank on January 2nd, my workshop felt different. New energy. Fresh eyes. There were 23 new inquiries waiting. A gallery in Tribeca wanted to discuss representation. And I had lunch scheduled with my grandmother on the 8th. The old Callahan would have been anxious about seeing family. The new Callahan was actually looking forward to it. January 8th. A quiet, upscale steakhouse in Montclair. She was already seated when I arrived, sharp-eyed and direct as always. She stood to hug me. Callahan, you look well. Thanks, Grandma. We dispensed with the small talk quickly. She sat down her menu and looked at me directly. I owe you an apology, she said. For what? For not saying something sooner. I knew how they treated you. Saw it for years. Should have intervened instead of just waiting. You weren't part of their plan, I said. No, but I enabled it with my silence. She sipped her iced tea. That ends now. I've made it clear to your parents that their behavior was unacceptable. And I've informed the extended family that you run a legitimate, profitable business. How'd they take it? I asked, a grin fighting its way to my face. She smiled slightly. Your mother cried. Your father got defensive. I told them to be quiet and listen for once. I actually laughed. I'm updating my will, she continued. You'll receive 40% of my estate. Your siblings will split the remaining 60%. This isn't compensation for their cruelty, Callahan. You've simply proven yourself. Grandma, you don't need to, I started. I'm not asking permission, she cut in, her voice firm. I'm informing you. She looked at me with something like pride. You remind me of myself at your age. Everyone had opinions about what I should do. I ignored them and built my own accounting practice. Best decision I ever made. I hadn't known that. Your family doesn't mention it. Doesn't fit their narrative, she added. She paused. I'm also investing in your business. Not charity. A legitimate business decision. 15% equity in exchange for capital to expand. I just stared at her. You're serious? Completely. I've reviewed your website. Called 3 of your buyers myself. Your numbers are excellent. Growth potential is substantial. You're a sound investment. She smiled. And I expect quarterly reports. I'm an involved investor. We talked details over lunch. Her investment would let me hire 2 more people, upgrade equipment, lease a proper showroom space. One more thing, she said as we finished. Your mother will attempt contact. Apologies and manipulations. Whatever you decide, remember, you don't owe them forgiveness just because they're family. You owe yourself respect. I'll remember that, I promised. She squeezed my hand. Good man. The next 2 weeks were a blur. My business exploded. I hired 2 incredibly skilled, hungry guys. We set up proper workflows, organized inventory, created systems for tracking commissions versus gallery pieces. Mid-January my phone rang. It was Dad. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello, Callahan. It's your father. I know. There was a long, awkward pause. I'm calling because we need to discuss what happened at Christmas. What about it? You humiliated us in front of the entire family. You made accusations. I told the truth, I cut in. There's a difference. Callahan, I understand you're upset, but you need to look at this practically. We're dealing with investor concerns, cash flow issues. Dad, I pushed. Why did you really want me to join the family firm? Silence again. I'm not stupid, I continued. You weren't offering this out of concern. What's really going on with Blaine? More silence. Then, carefully, the company is going through an audit. There are some accounting irregularities we're investigating. Irregularities? I scoffed. Is that what we're calling 3 years of embezzlement? We don't know that for certain, he stammered. Grandma does, I shot back. And now so does everyone else. I let that hang in the air. You plan to humiliate me into joining a company that's hemorrhaging money because your golden boy stole from you, and you're too proud to admit it. That is not what this is about, he yelled. Yes it is. And my answer is still no. Handle your own mess. I hung up. February brought even more momentum. The gallery in Tribeca scheduled an exhibition after our initial meeting went incredibly well. My 2 new guys stepped up, working 12-hour days. Every joint perfect. Every finish flawless. Then reality hit hard. A Manhattan client, for a $12,000 dining table, called to renegotiate after delivery. The finish isn't what I expected. $8,000 seems fair. I have the signed spec sheet, I told him. Take 8 or I'll dispute the charge. He hung up. I called a lawyer. A certified letter threatening a breach of contract lawsuit. The client paid in full within a week, plus a written apology. Running a business meant fighting for what you'd earned. 2 weeks before the solo show, things got ugly. Blaine showed up at my workshop unannounced. Just walked right in like he owned the place. I was finishing a walnut credenza when I heard the door. Looked up and there he was. Same smug face, same expensive suit, same golden child energy radiating off him like a disease. Nice setup, he said looking around. Quaint. Get out, I told him. Relax, I'm here to talk business. He picked up one of my chisels, examining it like he knew what he was looking at. He didn't. The auditors finished their preliminary report. Dad's in full panic mode. Mom's on Xanax. Delaney won't stop crying. Still not my problem, I said. He walked past my workbench, running his finger along the edge of a piece I'd been working on for 6 weeks. 800 hours of work. Careful, I warned him. That's worth more than your car. His jaw tightened. First real reaction I'd gotten out of him. Here's the thing, little brother, he said, setting the chisel down and meeting my eyes. It doesn't have to be ugly. Family takes care of family. You bring me in as a partner, 50-50, and we call it even. I handle operations. You do your little woodworking thing. I actually laughed. You're serious? Dead serious. I've got business experience. You don't have connections. I can take this operation to the next level. You stole millions from the family company and you want me to hand you half my business? His face hardened. I didn't steal anything. There were cash flow issues. Creative accounting. Things got complicated. The auditors have a different opinion. The auditors don't know the whole story. He stepped closer. I'm offering you a lifeline here. Take it. Get out of my workshop. Think carefully, Callahan. You make me an enemy. Things get difficult. I know people, investors, clients. I can make phone calls that would bury this little hobby of yours in a week. Are you threatening me? I'm giving you options. He smiled. That same patronizing smile from Christmas. 50-50. Final offer. My own smile was cold. I don't hire thieves and I definitely don't make them partners. His smile vanished. You'll regret this. Get out now. He left. But something deep inside me knew, this wasn't over. 3 days later it started. A client called to cancel a commission. Said he'd heard concerning things about my business practices. Then another cancellation. Then a string of bad reviews appeared online. Someone I'd never worked with claiming I'd delivered damaged goods. The fake reviews got creative. One claimed I'd shown up to a delivery drunk. Another said I'd made a pass at some guy's wife. All from accounts created within 48 hours of Blaine's visit. All with zero history, zero other reviews, zero credibility to anyone paying attention. But they showed up on Google. That's what mattered to him. I called Connor. Blaine's going scorched earth, I told him. Cancellations, fake reviews. He's trying to destroy my reputation. Document everything, Connor urged. Screenshots, timestamps, the works. Already on it, I replied, my teeth clenched. Then the call started. Middle of the night. Blocked numbers. Heavy breathing, then disconnect. 3-4 times a night. I started sleeping with my phone on silent. A week later I came to my workshop and found the lock tampered with. Nothing was taken, but tools had been moved around. A message. I'm watching. That's when I called the police. An officer sat across from me taking notes. And you believe your brother is responsible? He asked. I know he is, I said, my voice steady. He threatened me 2 weeks ago. Demanded I give him half my business. When I refused, this started. Do you have proof? I showed him everything. The text messages. The fake review from an account created the day after our confrontation. The phone records. Even security footage from across the street showing a figure matching Blaine's build near my shop at 2 a.m. We can file a report, the officer said, but without direct evidence linking him to the break-in attempt. What about harassment? I pressed. The calls? The business interference. He looked at me seriously. You might want to consider a restraining order, given the pattern. I filed the very next day. A temporary restraining order against Blaine Callahan. I had to go to court, present all my evidence, explain why I genuinely feared for my safety and my livelihood. The judge reviewed everything. The threatening visit, the systematic harassment, the attempted break-in. Granted, she said. Mr. Blaine Callahan is to maintain a distance of 500 feet from the petitioner and his place of business. No contact of any kind. When Blaine got served, he lost it. He called me from a burner phone, screaming about betrayal, about how I'd destroyed the family, about how he'd make me pay. I recorded the whole thing. Filed a violation report the same day. That burner phone call lasted 4 minutes. He called me every name in the book, threatened to burn down my workshop, said he had friends who could make problems disappear. I just let him run his mouth. Every word recorded. Every threat documented. He was so busy being angry, he forgot I'd been the quiet one my whole life. The quiet one who listened. The quiet one who remembered everything. My second court appearance. The judge was not happy. Mr. Callahan, she said, looking directly at Blaine, you were explicitly ordered to have no contact with your brother. You violated that order within 24 hours. Blaine's lawyer tried to argue, Your Honor, this is a family matter. It's a legal matter now, she cut him off. You're facing contempt charges. I'm extending the restraining order to 2 years and adding criminal penalties for any further violation. Blaine's lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear, probably wondering how he'd explain this one to his other clients. Walking out of that courthouse, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not triumph. Not satisfaction. Just clarity. I'd drawn a line. I'd defended it. And I had won. The solo show at Forge and Grain. It was everything I'd worked for. A high-end space in a converted warehouse. Professional lighting that made each piece glow. My entire collection occupied the main room, each piece perfectly spotlit against exposed brick walls. 6 years of work. 6 years of being told I was wasting my life. All of it, every single bit, validated in one room. I arrived early to set up. My 2 employees were already there, meticulously arranging pieces, checking sight lines, making sure everything was flawless. We'd been working toward this for months. You ready? One asked. As I'll ever be, I replied. Guests started arriving at 7. Gallery owners from Manhattan. Collectors who'd flown in from as far as San Francisco. Design bloggers with cameras. Interior designers scouting for talent. The room filled fast, the energy electric with possibility. I worked it naturally, talking about my process, explaining techniques, connecting with buyers who truly understood what real craftsmanship meant. A collector from San Francisco bought 3 pieces on the spot. Paid asking price, no negotiation. I've been looking for someone who still does real joinery, he told me. Everyone else is just gluing IKEA parts together and calling it bespoke. We shook hands. That one sale alone covered my operating costs for 3 months. At 7:30, my grandmother walked in. Alone. She caught my eye and smiled. I walked over. "Where's the rest of the family?" I asked. "Your father and mother decided not to attend," she said. Too embarrassed after Blaine's court appearance. Delaney stayed with them. She looked around at the crowd. "Blaine is prohibited from being within 500 feet of you anyway, thanks to that restraining order. I heard he tried to show up and had to be turned away. I hadn't even known that. Security must have handled it before I noticed." "The show looks spectacular," my grandmother said, her eyes shining with pride. "I'm very proud of you." "Thanks for coming," I told her. "And thanks for backing me up at Christmas." "I wouldn't have missed either," she said, squeezing my hand. "Your work speaks for itself. You don't need their approval. You never did." The show ran until 11 o'clock. By the time we closed, I had orders totaling $67,000, not including the gallery's commission. 3 interior designers wanted to carry my work exclusively in their showrooms. 2 private clients wanted custom home offices designed from the ground up. April bled into May. Blaine's case went public. Criminal charges were filed. Not just the restraining order violations but the embezzlement too. Turns out the auditors had found everything. 3 years of falsified records, shell companies, funneled contracts. The whole sordid operation laid bare in court filings that became public record. I watched it unfold from a distance. The family firm hemorrhaging clients faster than they could count. Civil lawsuits from investors piling up. The perfect family image? Utterly destroyed. And now everyone knew exactly why. My cousin sent me the news article. Bergen County real estate exec charged with embezzlement. Blaine's mugshot stared out from the page. Dad's company named. $3 million in diverted funds. The golden child had been stealing for years, and they tried to use me to cover it up. Summer arrived, and with it, more commissions than I could possibly handle. We hired 4 more people and actually started turning down projects. The brownstone job in Brooklyn led to incredible referrals. Those referrals led to features in magazines. The features led to even more referrals. Success was compounding on success, built on skill, not manipulation. Late June. Mom called. First time in 6 months. First time since I'd exposed them in front of everyone at Christmas dinner. I'd wondered how long it would take for desperation to finally outweigh their pride. I let it ring twice before answering. "Hello, Callahan." "It's Mom." Her voice was different. Smaller. Fragile. A way I'd never heard before. The woman who'd spent years dismissing everything I'd built now sounded like she was barely holding herself together. "Can we talk?" "About what?" "Everything. What happened at Christmas. What your father and I did. What we didn't do. The years we wasted treating you like you were less than." She paused and I could hear her trying not to cry. "I'm calling to ask for help." "Help with what?" I asked, my voice flat. "The company? The lawsuits? Blaine's legal fees? Everything's falling apart." Her voice cracked. "We made mistakes, Callahan. Terrible mistakes. But we're still family. That has to count for something." "You plan to humiliate me and steal my business in front of everyone we know?" I said, my voice cold. "That's not a mistake. That's a strategy. We were desperate. We were scared. We didn't know what else to do," she cried. "Wow. So, after years of calling it a hobby, a phase, a sandbox, now suddenly it's valuable enough to steal." Silence. "Callahan, please. I know we don't deserve it, but we need you. Your father is barely functioning. Delaney is overwhelmed. Blaine is facing prison." She paused. "We've discussed it as a family. You bring Blaine in as a partner after his legal issues resolve. 50-50ths. He needs something to come back to. He can handle operations while you do your woodworking." I almost laughed. The audacity. It was almost impressive. Even after everything, the harassment, the threats, the restraining order, the criminal charges, they still wanted me to save him. "Let me understand this," I began. "You want me to give half my company to the brother who threatened me? The brother who harassed my clients?" The brother who tried to break into my workshop? The brother I had to get a restraining order against? The golden child who destroyed everything? He's still your brother, she pleaded. He needs a fresh start. And frankly, you owe this family something. I owe you nothing, I snapped. And I have a 2-year restraining order that says he can't come within 500 feet of me or my business. So even if I wanted to, which I don't, it would literally be illegal. We can work around that. Get it modified. No, I said. I actually smiled. Not angry. Not bitter. Just done. I don't hire thieves and I definitely don't make them partners. The silence stretched, long and hollow. When she spoke again, her voice was completely devoid of emotion. I don't know what else to say. There's nothing to say, I replied. You made your choices. Now you live with them. I'm not your bailout. I'm not Blaine's safety net. I'm the son you discarded. And I built something real without you. Can we at least meet? Talk in person? No. We're done here. I hung up. 2 hours later, Delaney texted, "You're tearing this family apart. I hope you're happy." I screenshot it. Added it to my collection. Then went back to work on a commission for a restaurant in the Hamptons. 22 grand, cash on delivery. Yeah, I was pretty happy. Then Dad called. Asked if we could meet. His voice sounded different, defeated, broken in a way I'd never heard before. The man who'd always been in control, always had an angle, always knew how to work a room. That man was gone. I agreed. A quiet diner in Montclair, neutral territory. The kind of place where nobody would recognize us. No family reputation to maintain, no image to protect. Just two people who needed to have a conversation that was years overdue. He walked in looking like he'd aged 10 years. His suit was wrinkled, his tie crooked. The man who'd always been immaculately put together, who'd lectured me about presentation and professionalism, now looked like he'd been sleeping in his car. He sat down heavily, like the sheer weight of everything that had happened was physically crushing him. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "You wanted to talk?" I asked. He nodded, ordered coffee, and took a long, shaky breath. "Blaine took a plea deal last week. 18 months, federal minimum security. The family firm filed for bankruptcy. We're liquidating assets. Selling the estate. Everything's gone." He looked at me, his eyes hollow. "I built that company for 30 years. Sacrificed everything for it. Sacrificed my relationship with you. And it's gone. Blaine destroyed all of it and I let him. I didn't say anything. Just waited. You were right," he continued, his voice barely a whisper. "About all of it. I was wrong to try to control you. Wrong to mock what you built. Wrong to plan that Christmas ambush. Wrong to protect Blaine when he came after you. I was wrong about everything. Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. "Because I need you to know that you were right to leave. You built something real. Something sustainable. Something that matters." He met my eyes. "I'm proud of you, Callahan. I should have said that years ago. I'm saying it now." I watched him. Heard him gravel. And I felt nothing at all. "I don't need you to save me," he continued. "I don't need you to join anything or fix anything. I just need you to know that I was wrong and you were right. And I'm sorry I couldn't see it sooner." We sat there in silence. "Good to know," I finally said. "Doesn't change anything. We're still done." "I understand." "Keep your apology," I told him. "I don't need it. I moved on a long time ago." He nodded. "I figured you'd say that." He stood to leave, then turned back, his gaze distant. "You know what the worst part is?" he asked. "What?" "I had 2 sons. One who had the courage to build something real and one who didn't. I destroyed my relationship with the first trying to control him. The second destroyed everything trying to please me, and then blamed everyone else when it fell apart." He shook his head slowly. "I picked the wrong horse and I lost everything because of it." He walked out. Not vindication. Not satisfaction. Not even triumph. Though I'd earned that peace. I didn't need their approval anymore. I'd already won. So there you have it. My story. It's been a wild ride, and honestly, sometimes it still feels surreal. But I wouldn't change a thing. Tell me, if you were in my shoes, what would you have done differently? Or have you ever had a moment where you finally realized you just had to cut ties, even with family? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear what you think.